Thank you for the introduction. Oh, do I? All right, so as Leanna mentioned, my name is Evangeline Mensah Jacum. Can you guys hear me all right? Okay, great. Let's see if this works. Okay. um, and so I am Ghanaian American. I grew up in Massachusetts, and that's where I spent most of my childhood and my years. I did live in Ghana for about 2 years when I was younger. And so, yeah, I'm also trilingual, fun fact. So I speak English, Tree, and Fante, which are native languages to Ghana. And so, pretty much since I can remember, I've always enjoyed creating in different ways. Also, if you can't hear me well, just let me know and I can raise my voice. Um, but I've just loved to create and make in different ways. And so, singing, dancing, drawing, and fashion were like the things that I was doing. I come from a pretty musical family. My mom is a singer, and my dad plays the drums. And so I was always around that sort of environment. I'd say like one of the stories that I feel like defines like me and like how I was as a child was that when I was like 5 years old, I want to say, my parent, my mom was having a conversation with the other kids' parents who were with us at the time, like at the entrance to the apartment building, and I took it upon myself to sneak out the window and go to Burlington Coat Factory, which was like 5 minutes away, to go window shopping, because why not? Like, but also the fact that I snuck out the window means that I knew like I wasn't allowed to do it. But at the same time, I just living in Ghana for those 2 years when I was younger. There's like a different type of freedom than here in America, and so I just did that. And I remember some lady was following me back to my apartment, and I was like, why is she following me? Like, who is this lady like stalking me? And then she was like, oh, is this your daughter? Like, she was just walking around Burlington Coat Factory by herself. And so yeah, I've always loved fashion and clothes and just creating. Oh, that worked. Oh, it works. Okay. And so the catalyst to my photography journey, it pretty much started when I wanted to take my high school graduation photos, but I couldn't afford to take them. I was looking at the prices at the time. I was just like, oh. I mean, now being a photographer, I'm like, oh, that's that's actually a decent price. But at that time, I was like, oh, I definitely. Ooh, is that me? Cannot. Okay, yeah, there we go. I was like, oh, I couldn't afford. Oh no, not forward. Sorry, there was there was like a menu that came up. So we're gonna go back. Um, yeah, so I couldn't afford to take graduation photos. So, but we had a camera at home, and so I just started looking up how to get one of my 6 siblings to take my photos for me, and how I could edit from there with like Google Photos. And so these are the pictures that my brother and my sister took for me, and my mom too, actually. And then I just played around in Google Photos to like make it cute enough, I guess. Yeah. And so these are like some of the first photo shoots that I did. This top left corner, these two were taken in 2017. This one was, I believe, in 2018. So this was like after learning more about photography. Pretty much when I started looking into how I could take my own photos, I came across fashion photography that was being done by like everyday people and not like reserved for celebrities or anything like that. And so I wanted to try it out, and so I went shopping at Gabe's and bought some clothes and styled them in that outfit, and then edited the photos in Google Photos. And then this one I took of my sister in front of our house at the time, and again, just played around in Google Photos to edit and make it not look so dry, I guess. And then this last photo here was in 2018. I was really playing around with like skin retouching at the time. So actually, I took that photo on my iPhone, and yeah, I just messed around. At that point, I think for my birthday, I had gifted myself like Adobe editing services and stuff like that. So at this point, I had kind of started playing around in Photoshop and No, mostly Photoshop. I wasn't really using Lightroom at the time. And so in regards to styling and fashion, we all start somewhere. These are my outfits in high school, junior and senior year of high school. When I was looking through some photos, I saw that I had started like documenting my outfits like much earlier, like in middle school. It was rough, but you know, I can say at least I made the most out of what I had available to me. And I was like doing some things. We got some stripes and pink, mixed the patterns. Something was going on. It wasn't great, but it was something. And so just more about my education and like engineering background. I went to Carnegie Mellon University and I started in mechanical engineering. And then I ended up switching my major and pretty much making my own major because, yeah, I realized there was no point of wasting any more tears on doing the part of the engineering program that I didn't want to. I was only interested in half of the mechanical engineering curriculum, and so the other half, I just said, you can miss me with that. So pretty much, I ended up making my own major titled Product Innovation and Entrepreneurship, which is pretty much a combination of engineering, design, and business, and like HCI and robotics as well. Okay, I guess this works. And so this is one of my projects. I put this up here because I'm proud of us because we made that in a day, and like it was just extreme constraints. There was like supposed to be an electrical component to it where like we made a remote thing so that the woman could control the hood. But pretty much she had I had us create something to solve one of her problems, and so we made it compatible to the wheelchair. This is a prototype, so it's not really gonna go anywhere. But yeah, it was intense because it was like 2 weeks. A group member dropped out. There was just so much going on, but it was a cool project. And so this is some more of like I guess I'm gonna call it creative tech projects that I've worked on during my time at CMU. And so this first one could have been done better, but it was in the middle of the pandemic. And so I pretty much like created the system for 2 people to answer some questions to figure out what their love language was, and if it was the same, they were compatible and the lights would turn on, woo, kisses, fireworks. And if they weren't, then they needed to step to the side and have a very serious conversation about if they should be together or not, which was much more, very dramatic. But I was inspired by Love Island. If you know, you know. And there was a couple having a conversation and they were like, oh yeah, our love languages are different, so I just don't think this is gonna work out. But then it's like the person who started the whole love languages thing did it more so as a way to learn about your partner and communicate rather than this like selfish sort of thing. And so this other project, so that first project was called Love and Logic because logic was part of, it's like used in the wiring and stuff. And then the second one is called an extension of us, and that was actually part of a show here at Brew House. This was my first show, and so this, I call it a communication device pretty much between me, my mom, and my sister. There was supposed to be 3, but there was only 2. And so when you squeeze the braid, the other braid would vibrate, and then when all of us sang, music would play, and then when we like brought our hand to our hearts, the lights would turn on in the braids. And so for the show, I altered it to make it more compatible for those who were viewing it so that they weren't touching it because it was pretty sensitive and fragile. And I collaborated with my sister to write a poem for it, and she did a great job. I don't remember, I'm not gonna go through that, but yeah. And then this last project, it was for like a creative robotics class, and we were supposed to make it in a suitcase. And so me and my partner decided to do like an introspection type of project, where the figures initially would look like an angel, but then as you peered closer into this mirror, into your reflection, it turned into a person turning into a devil. And so, yeah. um, yeah, so currently what I do professionally, I guess, or for my job, my big girl job, is that I'm a researcher and a product engineer. I don't talk about this much on my creative like page, um, which I can't say why really, but I am really proud, I guess, of this work and my team and the people involved in this. But pretty much, we work on making EEG systems, which are for brain reading, making them adaptable for Black people and those with coarse and curly hair. Um, okay, so coarse and curly hair, but mainly Black people, just because of the hair texture, it makes it difficult to access the scalp. And so Arnell, who was an undergrad student at the time that she created this design, pretty much developed this new system that has started to be used. And so this photo was taken during one of the clinical trials that we did at the Children's Hospital. And so I came on initially on the research as a hair braider. I was trying to make some quick bucks, but also going to CME for engineering. It pretty much worked out. And so I'm in a very interesting position as to how I can pull from my design and engineering, but also like, oh, I forgot to mention I used to work at a hair salon as well, and so that's part of, and also I have, 4 sisters, so and I'm Black, so I grew up knowing how to pretty much do hair / braid hair. So pretty much being at this intersection where I can pull from all these different backgrounds to contribute to this type of work has been really great and interesting to see the impact and just the conversations we've had with the children and their parents as well. So yeah. And so this is what I titled my personal beginning of my photography journey, because this is when like I started like getting on a roll and actually being like intentional about things. The other photos, I was just like, okay, yeah, let's try this, I guess. But at this point I had taken, I'm not gonna say stole, I borrowed, no, I still have it. I took my parents' camera, and so then I just had it with me all the time to start taking pictures. And so this is the photo that I took, right? This was the first photo the first photo shoot I did when this new, I guess maybe rebirth or whatever chapter started, which I'm pretty proud of myself to go from those photos that I took straight to this with literally nothing in between. Oh, I forgot to mention I'm also a self-taught artist, so I wasn't taking any art classes. I was failing too many engineering courses to take those. And so, yeah, I taught myself how to do most of these things like on YouTube / just practicing. So yeah, there was nothing in between this photo that you're seeing and the last like shoot I did with my sister. And so this was just an idea that popped into my mind. Yeah, I'm just gonna say like I had a vision for it, and then I just didn't know any photographers at the time / couldn't afford any, and so I just did it myself, and I wasn't bad at it, and so yeah. And so these are some other photos that I took in that first year as well. This first photo came about because I went back to Massachusetts, and this is someone I went to high school with, and he was modeling at the time, so I was like, okay, let's do something. And so since he was modeling, I wanted to do something that was interesting for both of us, since he already had a portfolio. And I was like, oh, he's bald. That's like a canvas. Like, what can I do on that? And so I ordered some gold pins. Either I ordered some or already had it. And then like the night before, I was like, if this can stay on my forehead with some Got2b gel, I'll be good. And it stayed. And so I was like, great. And funny enough too, like the day before I was in New York and I was talking to someone I had just met who looked very creative. I mean, their outfit was really cool. I was talking to him about the idea, and he was like, pretty much like doubting it, like didn't really support the idea. And so I started to doubt that idea myself. I was like, nah, let me just go through with it. And it ended up being really cool. And it's like one of the photos that's still like a highlight of my portfolio. And then this other photo is of my mom when she pulled up on me on July 4th. Literally that morning, she was like, I'm in your city. I said, who? And so I pretty much put together some things in my wardrobe and just put them on her. I think these are skirts that either some skirts that she had, and I just like put that on her to try to do something, and shot this in the back of the place I was subletting at the time. Some other photos from 2019. This was a self-portrait. Oh, I will also add that I wasn't in school during that year, so I think photography was also just, even though I didn't really start taking photos until like the summer, which was like at least 6 months since the Flower Boys photo. Photography and like styling and all this stuff became sort of like an escape or a solace or a way to distract myself from all the crazy stuff that was happening that year. And so, yeah, and then this is somebody else that I photographed. I actually made this leather piece, I don't know what to call it. A friend, their boyfriend had some leather pieces, and so I cut them and dyed them and then like pieced them together. Didn't really know what I was doing. Honestly, I don't remember what the end goal was with that, but it's something. And so, yeah. And then we shot that on a rooftop. This was in New York. I didn't know this person. We just met on social media, and I was like, hey, met you. And so this is 2020, and this was during the pandemic, and I was at home, and I wanted to photograph. I just wanted to photograph. But my mom also didn't want me to show my sisters' faces, and so that's why they're facing the fence. And then I was inspired by some other photos I had seen of individual children in larger suits, or in oversized suits. So I decided to take inspiration from that and ended up doing it this way. I also did their hair, which was fun. And so, yeah, and then we shot this in my backyard. And I had asked my dad for permission to use the suits. He said nothing, actually, but it was giving no. And so when he left, I just took them and put them on. And then literally he drove into the parking spot, and we all just ran inside the house. And he was upset. He was like, I was like, man, what can I say? But he ended up liking the photos. And so, yeah, and then the year after 2020, it ended up being on a billboard in Oakland? Is that Oakland? I want to say Oakland. Yeah. Yeah, Oakland on Baum Boulevard. In 2021 with Save Art Space. And it was curated by Tara. So that was really dope to see this photo up like that in this way. And then this is one of my projects titled As We Are, pretty much showing Black people in a like celestial way, but then I also I wanted to point to how our existence as humans like is enough, and we don't have to be this otherworldly being to, I don't know, be valued or seen in this way. And so I really wanted to make this photo shoot more personal, and so I asked the people that I shot with about locations where they felt at home or felt some sort of comfort or they identified with. And so the first photo we shot on her dad's back porch. For the twins, we shot in the living room of the Black Student Union house on CMU's campus. For Imani, we shot in a place where she had done business and like was, it had been, yeah, pretty much where she had done business and was like a big part of her life. And then for the last photo, we shot in the parking garage to, it was initially supposed to be a bus stop, but it was raining. But it still was similar in that it had to do with pretty much the moving aspect of his life. Oh, and then also I had them all barefoot intentionally. And so, yeah, I did the hair for this and styling. Yeah, I pretty much do the styling for all my photography work. And then this is my other project, Don't We Look Pretty, which is a photography and film project that was started in, everything was done in, or photographed and like filmed in 2021. And then I released it the year after in 2022, but this idea started in 2019 when I had dyed my hair hot pink and just thinking about how I felt uncomfortable in this color because of the hairstyle. Just comparing it to like other ways I had worn colors, which was wigs or braids, and pretty much trying to understand why I felt that discomfort. And so, yeah, this project is pretty much about the relationship between colored afros and the history of blackface and clowning history. Oh, this may or may not load. Okay, I guess not, but it was just a gif of the film. And so this is a self-portrait that I took last year, pretty much the start of one of a project I plan to do later down the line. As someone who grew up with muscular arms, and in Sunday school when I was younger, like the boys would ask me to flex, and that was like my party trick, I guess. And so in a way I started associating that part of myself with masculinity and felt like it took away from my femininity. And so I really used to not like to show my arms at all. Like I would hide it. I was always wearing like sleeves that would cover it, and things of that sort. And then eventually I was just like, girl, relax. It's not that serious. And so I just pretty much let that go. And then in college I started getting compliments on it and I was getting confused. But yeah, I guess that helped with that journey. So pretty much like also exploring like the strong black woman trope, how, you know, in social media we'll see like comments like, you look like a man used towards darker black women, or black women in different situations. And so like what is pretty much with this trying to, in a way, like not masculinize muscularity, if that meant, did that? Okay, I think I got that. But yeah, and so this photo is titled Lorica, which means body armor, or in biology, a shell-like protective outer covering, which I think is pretty fitting for how I edited this photo. And so yeah, these are some of my favorite styling moments throughout my portfolio, and yeah, I was able to get better because the key to styling is buying and returning, which I didn't realize until a few years in, but that is the key. Amazon and ASOS have great return policies, I will say that. And so yeah, the first photo I took pieces from my own wardrobe, and then also Goodwill. And so yeah, and then the last photo I pretty much work with pieces that she had in her wardrobe already. So there's like different situations using my wardrobe, the model's wardrobe, borrowing from someone, thrifting, I think are really great ways to try to style people if you're starting out and also on a very low budget. And so yeah, these are some more photos. The first one was just, I bought the corset from Amazon. Not to like, I'm not gonna promote Amazon, but there are some cool sellers on there, I will say. And so, yeah, pretty much played around with the fabrics that I already had, and pinned them and rearranged them on her body, and also in the set as well. And then there's like things like using not not sticking to the purpose or use of a clothing item. So a lot of times I'll use like a top as a skirt. Like in the second photo, the the head wrap or headscarf, the top and the skirt are all shirts. And so things like that. And then the last photo as well, like the skirts that are layered up over each other. No, I think those are all skirts. But yeah. And then these are some other just photos in my portfolio. And yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me is just being as resourceful as possible. So I'm gonna go back like this first photo for the set, the wooden crates. There was like a bubble tea place next to me, and there were wooden crates next to them. So I just borrowed them and used them for the photo shoot. And then for this one, the first photo, I stacked a mattress topper that I had over 2 containers. And that's what I used to create this like bed outside. And then this last photo here, I think I took that in like 2018. It's one of the photos that I took earlier on. But we took this like in her common area of her dorm, and she had a lamp, and that's pretty much what I used for lighting. So yeah. And so I've begun to style more outside of my own projects, mostly this year. And so yeah, these are some styling, really just 2 styling projects this year. But these have been really cool to do as well, and something that I'm looking forward to doing more once I have more space in my schedule. But yeah. And then these are just all self-portraits, either for my birthday or just to take, that I've taken over the years. I'm trying to do at least 1 self-portrait every year, so I'm currently still on track. And then for this self-portrait, this was a birthday photo shoot just to, again, be resourceful. I bought science boards. Is that what it's called? I forgot. Yeah, trifold board. I bought purple trifold boards, and I used tape and set them up in my bedroom. And there was this photographer, Gabriel Moses. He has this like darkness to his photos, and so I was really trying to emulate that as much as possible. And I was going through all his photos and stuff like that. I'm also not that great. I'm not bad at lighting, but I'm not like as intentional with lighting as I could be. I really just have like 1 light and like great. But I noticed that he had the black plyboard and stuff, and as I've been learning more about lighting, used to fill in the shadow more. And so I just set up a black sheet over my door and had this 1 light, and that was how I took the photo. I didn't want it to be like super clear, so I put like some wrap or something over my camera lens, which is something I had seen years ago on YouTube and used for one of the other photo shoots that you saw. Yeah, and then just use Photoshop to edit out the lines. So yeah, this honestly came out better than I thought it would. I like to play around in Photoshop a lot. Well, not anymore as much, but these are instances when I liked to play around in Photoshop, where I was doing different things with it. And so yeah, this is my personal style now. Don't we love growth? Like if you just grow up a little bit, get some more money, a little bit, and I guess just keep on at it, you get better. And so practice really does, I'm not perfect, but practice really does make better, I'll say. Yeah, and then also these are some of the hairstyles I've done with my work. Yeah, I think at some point I really wanted to start incorporating more like hair sculpture within my photography. I forgot her name. There was this particular hairstylist. Her name starts with Femi? No, not Femi. There's this particular hairstylist that I saw who was doing this with photo shoots, and so I wanted to incorporate that into my own work. And so going back to fashion and styling, I've designed and created three lines during my undergrad and college for the Spirit Fashion Show, which is the longest running fashion show there, and that I got to direct during my last year. And so this first one over here I created on my own, and then the rest were in collaboration with some of my friends. Yeah, we're in collaboration with a friend. So yeah, that was definitely an interesting process. Also, to add to that, my mom's cousin is a seamstress, and I started learning how to sew when I was like in middle school. I could have done way more with that, but I'm not gonna complain. And so yeah, so this might all sound like a lot, but it's all connected. Even like the engineering and the science part, like black hairstylists, black women are engineers, period. At the end of the day, for real. And so it's all connected. Like even like seeing the similarities between like what I learned for engineering and like sewing or making patterns and making clothes to fit people. There's overlap and connection in all of them, which is why I'm at the center of this large spider web. And so for artist residencies, currently I am part of the lovely distillery residency here at the Brew House. And then I also have a residency at Proto Haven, which is more maker space and just trying to build on my making skills that I pretty much obtained through my mechanical engineering side of my degree. And then soon I'll be in the Boom Concepts Radiant Hall residency. Now, 3 residencies also might sound like a lot, but they each serve their own purpose, and so, and a different purpose. So they're all supporting things that I'm already doing. And then last year I was also a runner-up for a makerspace residency in Greece, so that was cool. Even though I didn't get in, I was like, runner-up, I'm proud of myself still. And so that was an application I did with a friend who does like mechatronics and like puppeteering type of things. And so we submitted an application together. And so for current and upcoming projects, so to start off, I have this editorial photo shoot coming up, hopefully next month, with 3 bald black women, pretty much drawing inspiration from these other 2 photo shoots that I did. And I'll be collaborating with an artist, her name is Allison, to create pretty much new headpieces where we're using the head as a canvas and also like as an accessory within the headpiece. And then I also have a documentary film. I've been working on this for so long, and I'm not even close, but it's called No Age to Beauty, and it's centered on age, beauty, culture, and legacy. There's a photo of my mother, which I'm pretty sure was the catalyst for this project. So yeah, I've been like thinking about this project since 2019, officially started it back up in 2021, and now I'm still working on it. So yeah. And then lastly, I have a photography multimedia project called Rite of Passage. This is the mood board for the project. I know what it's gonna look like, but this is just so you can get the feel for it. And it's about the parentification of eldest daughters of immigrants. And I myself, Grenadelle, I'm an eldest daughter of Ghanaian immigrants. And so pretty much it will be exploring that and the ways in which this sort of role that we put on as children and that we usually take on with pride, how that affects us as we are journeying into women and adulthood, and how that affects us as adults. I will say with this too, like, I think one of the main things is with having 6 younger siblings. My youngest sibling, she's 10 now, but just seeing like how small she is, and I'm like, I don't expect her to, do certain things, but then I'm like, oh, I was just as small or just as young, so I'm just like, wow, that's kind of crazy that at that age, this is a role or a responsibility that I was like, yeah, I'm so proud of myself for this, or like I was like, yeah, this is what I should be doing, when it's like, girl, you're a child. And so, yeah, pretty much just challenging that narrative that's usually put on eldest daughters. And then where I'm at and what I'm learning. So I really haven't taken much photo shoots this year, really, like, at all. But I mean, I guess I've been mostly focused on the film. And so, yeah, I'm pretty much in a transitional stage where I'm trying to enhance my skills, my photography skills, my lighting skills, and just like what I want my work to look like. I'm not gonna say I don't like my work anymore, but I guess my older work just doesn't move me in the same way anymore. So I'm just trying to figure out how I can get the work that I make moving forward to move me now. And so, yeah, I'm just learning a lot, trying to learn more about like how I can incorporate more conceptual photo shoots into my work, storytelling, making my work less stagnant or static, and bringing in more movement. And yeah, also, as I had mentioned before, just getting more, I'm trying to better my making skills as well. Um, and I'm really interested right now in like metal work and stuff. And also, I've been thinking about how my photography, well, actually, last year was the first time I was in, well, this whole past year, I've been in a few galleries, which has been great. And last year was the first time my photography was in a gallery. And so thinking about how I can present my photography work differently in these physical spaces and what that looks like and what that means. Yeah, so this is advice from someone who's still figuring it out. Um, but know your worth. I don't know why I added an exclamation point with that, but knowing your worth, honestly, in itself is a journey and a process. When I started this whole like creative journey out, like I had my friend Cameron, shout out Cameron, he would always tell me, know your worth and don't undersell yourself. And so really value yourself and your art the way you would somebody else, as well. And don't let anybody tell you it's like an ego thing, because at the end of the day, like that's how it should be. As I mentioned before, really using your resources and what you have available, but then also investing in yourself. I had an Adobe subscription way at the time. I mean, this might not have been the smartest, but like when I had $20 to spread over 2 weeks, and it's like, well, but at the same time, that was something I was willing to do to create the work that I wanted to. And so, yeah, investing in yourself, energy, time, money, and then networking across. So, working with people around you and not just like always looking up. Shout out Imani for that one, but that's a really good point. And then also perfectionism. I feel like that's something that's definitely I've been working through and on. Even in the beginning of my work with Photoshop, I was trying to make everything so perfect. Like I was making the rocks symmetrical, and it's like, who cares? Like what? Why are we doing this? And so just I think that also comes in with having been self-taught and just having a different sort of understanding of how that should go. And then this is mostly for like collaborating or like other people trying to hire you for certain things, but it's okay to only give 100% with what you're given rather than giving your full like top-notch 100%. If you're being given like not as much as what you're valued or you're worth and you want to do that project, then yeah, it's okay to do that. And that's something I realized this year because I was working on a project and I was like, should I do this? But then I wanted to do it, but then I was like kind of overthinking how I should go about it and making it the most best, amazing, unique thing you've ever seen. But it's like, it doesn't have to be that. And it's okay to give 100% with what you're given. And everybody enjoyed what I was able to put forth with that anyways. Because for real, nobody else is really an expert in whatever you've been hired for. but you, for the most part. It's okay to fail and fail again, which is part of like my main thing right now within my journey is being okay to fail, to mess up, and that's a part of the process. And then to ask, and yeah, just ask, because what do they say? Closed mouths don't get fed. So, yeah, and that's all. I can't see the words behind the thing, but I was just gonna say, I think I said explore, experiment, fail, and repeat. So this is a picture of me as a baby. But yeah, that's all. Thank you for coming.